This is a special edition of 17 News, celebrating Black history in Kern County.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for a special edition of 17 News celebrating Black History Month. I'm Mikhala Armstrong. We begin with a story about exploring your genealogy. For Black Americans, this search could fill in the blanks left by the history of slavery and racism in America. Many don't know where to start to find answers about their family history, but one Bakersfield woman says finding out hers changed her life.
Tell me a little bit about what it's been like for you, at least, finding things out about your family here.
After more than 20 years researching her family's origin in America and locally in Bakersfield,
it's been good.
72-year-old Catherine Jordan says many of the answers were right before her.
Census, or you get it through the obituary, or if you get it through passing of conversations of stories from family to family.
Jordan worked with her family, the Genealogical Society, and the History Room at the Beale Library to connect her family tree, and says finding this information has brought new joy to her life.
Oh, I was excited. I was able to find my dad's family, my mother's family, and the more I start searching, I collected a binder that big of information with obituaries, with pictures of grave sites, pictures of all this was very important to have. So I was very excited.
One of the most shocking details during her search was learning more about her own family's past as enslaved people in this country, especially about her great-great-grandfather.
He was listed as a property and not as like a cattle. You know, and he had numbered. He had a price that he was worth. Every person was worth on a certain amount of money, you know, and being that he was an older gentleman, he was 85 years old. He was listed at $110. And most of the males back then might have been listed as $200 or $300.
So they became a unit as such.
Kathy Walker, president of the Kern County Genealogical Society, says helping Black individuals find their lineage is not simple or easy.
The records are sparse. I mean, there's no question about that. It becomes extremely difficult, and you gather all the information you can for the location you're studying, and then you start putting together a jigsaw puzzle.
But to help, Walker says she uses documents like newspaper clippings, slave schedules from the early to late 1800s that list enslaved people by age and their owners, and the census that individually named former slaves for the first time in 1870.
You're going to use 1870, 1880 as your known, and then start looking for those names and ages as you move backwards. It's not easy because you're going to find that somebody out there has the very same name you do and is living in the very same place you were. So now how are you going to tell the two people apart? And that we tease that one out a lot. It's a challenge, but it's a fun challenge.
The Genealogical Society says only a few Black people come in to learn more about family history, but says they've seen the impact of their work, like helping one Black Kern resident find his mother.
And we found a picture of his mother that he'd never seen. So it's nice when you can do that, and it makes you feel good when you can produce something that they don't know about.
Jordan hopes more take advantage and says learning more about your history and passing it on to the younger generation is more important now than ever.
Yeah, we gotta care. We want to know the history. Because if we don't learn about the history, it'll come back and bite us again. So it's very important that we learn about our history and learn about our community.
You can find the Genealogical Society or the History Room at the Beale Library, and both have resources to help you search for your family history. Well, ancestry played a key role in another big topic amongst Black Californians, reparations. Thursday, members of California's Legislative Black Caucus detailed 14 reparations bills they are introducing to amend the historical wrongs of slavery. However, the bills leave out cash payments. We spoke to local leaders about the issue. Take a look.
We need justice, and reparations is just one of the ways of trying to get reparative justice.
Throw that caveat at a group, a cultural group that represents more than a handout. We deserve a hand up. Open the door for us to be at the table.
You can go to kget.com to watch the full discussion. Coming up, we continue our coverage of Black History Month, digging into the best places to find a safe space. Plus, an annual tradition deep-rooted in Black culture has an impact on local youth. More on that when we return. Finding a safe space can be difficult, but historically, Black hair salons and barbershops have been known to provide that space. Here at home, one Black-owned business says it is paving the way to create a sense of safety for all who walk through its doors and sit in its chairs.
You can just come in here, don't nobody expect nothing from you. You can just be you.
Dee Dee Stewart, owner of Flawless Cuts and Styles, says her barbershop and hair salon remains in business because it creates a safe atmosphere her clients can't find just anywhere.
You come in, you sit down, and you want to talk to somebody, and a lot of times that somebody is your hairstylist. So you're kind of getting a little lightweight therapy session while you're getting beautified. So you get stuff off your chest, and then you can go ahead and start your day and feel good because you look good.
Between the haircuts, the laughs, and the many hairstyles, Stewart says she gets the chance to be there for her clients when they are having hard times.
I ask them, are you okay? Like, do you need a hug? And sometimes they say, yes, I do need a hug. And so then there it is.
Stewart has a diverse clientele, but specializes in African American hair and says most of the issues of life her clients face take a toll on their hair, and she provides a listening ear and helps make tough decisions with their hair. I even decided to take a spin in the shop's chair myself and see what the shop was all about. Stewart says as more take a spin in the chair and see for themselves, she hopes the shop provides the safe space that many need right now for their mental well-being.
We want them to leave feeling good and knowing that they can come back and get the consistency. That's another thing. Like, it's not going to be good today and bad tomorrow. We try to keep it the same great quality. So basically, a quality service, quality environment, positivity, support, encouragement, that's what we're all about.
For 5 years, Nikki Beauty Supply and Salon has catered to the African American community in Bakersfield. 17 Cecilia Trevino spoke to the owner, who says there's a special reason her customers keep coming back.
After Nikki Adekoba moved to Bakersfield in 2012, she quickly realized her community was much smaller than she expected.
But when I moved down to Bakersfield, it was a struggle because everywhere I go, I say, is there any Black here? I started asking everybody. I've not seen Black.
Born in Ibadan, Nigeria, Nikki's love for hair means culture.
I know how to do hair from Africa, and all of us, we have the same hair texture. That was what I know how to do. That was my first love, my hair, because I have the same texture.
Her culture became the driving force to start her business.
I was like, okay, we don't have a lot of our hair products here. Let me start and introduce my type of hair products into Bakersfield so that they know where to go and get the right product for their hair.
Her talent quickly pulled customers from all over the state.
Oh, I have a lot of clients from LA. I have Lake Isabella. They drive all the way from Lake Isabella over here. And I have in Delano, I have in Fresno. As a matter of fact, the lady I did her hair yesterday, she came all the way from Tulare.
Another key part of the business is makeup, an industry that continues improving for deeper skin tones.
Yes, before we don't used to have all these different color of concealer, this cancel this, but right now we have it all. We have a lot, and we're still getting better.
Nikki's goal is for clients to find anything they need.
The purpose of opening this store is to help my minority community. Because most of us, we use wrong product because of weird environments where we find ourselves.
We often hear about the first to accomplish something in history, but we'll hear a story from 17's Robert Price about a man who might have been America's first black astronaut, but he didn't get the chance. Welcome back. A big part of black culture is tradition, community, and food. All three of those elements are key to a more than 20-year event here at home, the Black History Month Luncheon at South High School. A luncheon full of performances, awards, and more. Here's a look at last year's, as this year's is only a few days away. The luncheon celebrated Black History Month in the best way, serving soul food deep-rooted in black culture, musical performances by students of songs made by black artists, and speeches and poems performed by students by prominent black figures.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by their character.
I'm a woman phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me.
The event has been a tradition at South High School for over 20 years. Retired Assistant Principal S.C. Davis says it makes a difference.
Oftentimes, our students don't know their history. So although this has been going on for 30 years, we want it to continue forever, and every day will be Black history.
A student the luncheon impacted is Dejanay Lewis, a sophomore who performed multiple times at the luncheon, including stepping with the school's Black Student Union step team.
I'm celebrating my black culture, so of course I wanted to come out and just share with other people.
Lewis says she gained confidence from performing at the luncheon. A trade co-advisor of the step team, Renata Cruz, says she's seen develop in all who participated.
I've seen from the first day of practice them being shy to them encouraging each other to be prepared for this month and getting over their fears, stage fright, and really hyping each other up. So it was a sense of empowerment.
Cruz says learning about themselves and their history with events like this will stick with them for years to come.
When I look back at my experience in high school, BSU was something that saved me as a youth and gave me a sense of belonging, and I think that's what these girls are going to remember forever.
Mikhala Armstrong, 17 News. You can attend this year's luncheon on February 29th at South High School at 11 a.m. On the busy intersection of Callaway and Rosedale sits a place with long-standing recipes full of tradition and love. We're talking about Mom's House Chicken and Waffles. 17 Cecilia Trezino has the story.
Mom's House Chicken and Waffles has been serving the community for over a decade. What started out as a mother's cooking for her family evolved into a business model.
So Mom is my grandma, Vicki Hill. She is my dad's mother, and she is the person who came up with all the delicious recipes and what started all the food that got to make us the place we are today.
A southern taste that comes from the search for comfort food.
My dad was like, where is the place that, I want to go when I'm having a bad day, I want some good food, I want to go to my mom's house. So we thought that'd be a really cool name to name the restaurant. Everyone has a nice, comfortable vibe and has good food at Mom's house.
Even after the passing of Mom, Vicki Hill, her unique recipes keep customers coming back.
I think you can find chicken and waffles here. Not a lot of places have that. Catfish, yams, and mac and cheese, that's a good combo here that a lot of people get. Oxtails, or neck bones. Peach cobbler, which is really good.
Of 1.9 million minority-owned businesses in California, only 185,000 are African-American-owned businesses. In Kern County, about 6% of the population is Black. February highlights the importance of supporting Black-owned businesses in our communities.
I think that we are doing a good job as a Black-owned business. There's not too many of us out there, so we're sticking together and being able to be a family business is really nice.
Being a local business means being close not only to clients, but to each other as the Johnson family. Cecilia Trevino, 17 News.
I don't know about you, but I am hungry. Well, stay with us and we'll be right back. There's a new documentary airing on streaming services right now that reveals a different side of the early 60s test flight school at Edwards Air Force Base. It's the story of a man who might have been America's first black astronaut, and 17's Robert Price shares the story of Captain Ed Dwight.
President John F. Kennedy was famously determined to send an American to the moon by the end of the decade. Less well known was his vision for what the nation's first generation of astronauts would look like. Kennedy wanted to send a message to the world not only about America's dominance in the science of aerospace, but also to portray its enlightened society when it came to race relations. That's how, in 1962, Captain Ed Dwight, an African-American pilot from Kansas, ended up at Edwards Air Force Base in the Kern County desert. At the president's direction, Dwight was to become a candidate for the Mercury space program, training under the guidance of the legendary Chuck Yeager, the first pilot to break the sound barrier. But as described in National Geographic's new documentary, The Space Race, The Untold Story of the First Black Astronauts, Yeager didn't want anyone, even the president, forcing a black pilot on the fledgling space program, and he challenged Dwight every day.
Chuck Yeager was one of my heroes, but you got to look at it from his point of view. He was running the whole Air Force research and development arm, if you will. I mean, he was running the deal. And so the president of the United States goes outside of this man and picks some astronaut guy that Chuck Yeager's never heard of.
His social life on the base was fraught as well. Particularly memorable was the night at the officers' club that a colonel's wife asked him to dance.
I danced, but it was a fast dance. And then the next song came up, it was a slow dance. And I turned to go back to my buddies, and she grabbed me and said, "You're not going anywhere."
The following Monday, he got a stern note from the base commander, the details of which he'd rather not repeat.
But that was just symptomatic of the whole atmosphere there.
Dwight stopped going to the club altogether, but he still had Saturday night options, including Bakersfield.
And we partied every weekend, yeah. And if you'd asked me the name of a nightclub, I couldn't even begin to tell you, because a lot of it was kind of a blur.
His days in the pre-astronaut program came to an end when President Kennedy was assassinated in November 1963. The president was killed on a Friday. By Monday, Dwight had papers in his mailbox shipping him out to Germany. The writing was on the wall. Dwight left the Air Force for the private sector and IBM in 1966. In 1977, he earned his Master of Fine Arts in Sculpture from the University of Denver. He never flew above 80,000 feet or exceeded Mach 2.4, but Ed Dwight made an indelible mark on black history. In Bakersfield, Robert Price, 17 News.
Finally, in our ongoing observation of Black History Month, we celebrate a thriving local black business, the Bakersfield News Observer, a weekly newspaper. 17's Robert Price paid a visit and files this report.
It's Black History Month, but here at the Bakersfield News Observer, it's Black History Week, every week. And by every week, I mean every week for 44 years. But now, as social media, podcasts, and streaming video loom larger in the lives of informed Americans, it's getting tougher. The News Observer comes out every Wednesday with news both local and global that primarily affect the black community. The state budget as it affects California's African American residents, reparations, if, when, and how much, black culture. Songwriter Tracy Chapman is back in the game. But all that coverage means little if readers can't get it in their preferred format. John Coley, who runs Spotlight Guitars right next door, is the son of the newspaper's co-founder.
A lot of our readership is an older demographic, so they haven't even taken to the internet. Like my mom, for example, my mom couldn't even use her flip phone right. You know, it was like, so she relied on newspapers.
James Lucky Jr. doesn't just run the News Observer with his father, James Sr. He manages two other black-focused publications for Observer Group newspapers of Southern California in L.A. and the San Fernando Valley. He says the company must appeal to both savvy internet users and readers who still prefer the feel of paper.
You just assume everyone has phones and internet access, but a lot of people in the black and brown community don't have those things.
How long can the News Observer hang on in this tough environment for old school news platforms?
We'll keep it rocking until the wheels come off, you know?
In Bakersfield, Robert Price, 17 News.
That's it for our Black History Month special. Thank you so much for joining us as we highlight local Black stories in our community. Have a great day.